All right, welcome back, everybody. I have the privilege to sit down with two Fools members today. First is Jacob McVey. He's got 7 years in the American Fire Service. He's currently a career engine driver for Lafayette County Fire Department. He's involved and helps out with the county special operations team. He's a proud, these are his words, Mississippian, so hopefully I don't butcher that. Jake's been driven through his mission to service community, through emergency response, and also facilitating training, and that's kind of why we're sitting down right now. He is the founding president of the Old South Fools, which is the Northeast Mississippi chapter of the Fools International. Beyond his professional life, Jake's a grateful husband to his wife, Kayla, and a father to two daughters, Hazley and Margot. His passions with fitness, which helps to stay physically strong, mentally strong and sharp, which obviously helps with the job. I also have the privilege to sit down with his buddy here, also Fools member of the Old South, Travis Bradshaw, 31 years old, 9 years in the American Fire Service, currently working at South Haven Fire Department in Mississippi. He started in Corinth Fire Department and also spent 4 years fighting fires in coastal Mississippi. Currently, he is a secretary chair for the Old South Fools. Before we get kind of wrapping on these guys, just a reminder, this podcast is for informational use only. This is our opinions. Recommendations and ideas are the members and the hosts only, are not affiliated with the fire departments, current organizations, or companies that they work for. So with that all out of the way, boys, welcome. I'm super fucking excited right now to sit down with you guys. So let's just start off with the Fools. So that's how we got connected through social media. I love what you guys are doing. So if you could break down to the audience, and I read in the bio, so please correct me if I misinformed anybody, but Jake, I believe you were the founding president. So found in the chapter, why? Let's start there. So why did you found the Old South Fools? What were you lacking, or what were you craving to kind of get this whole organization going, brother?
Yeah, so again, we talked about facilitating training. It's a big need in Mississippi and the surrounding areas. We live in kind of a tri-state area between Mississippi, Tennessee, and Alabama. And we went very underrepresented for a long time. Not a lot of people are kind of in line with the job as a whole. We've got a strong firefighting culture, but it's a job to a lot of people, and there's not a big sense of firemanship. And we're looking to change a lot of that. But we look at that as a way to facilitate some of the change that we want to affect, primarily building a training culture and a culture of firemanship.
So we were in the same boat out here on the West Coast in Arizona. It's literally me and my buddies all did the same thing at basically over stogies at the firehouse one day saying, hey, man, I want to do this, right? And of course, we all said, absolutely, we're on board, because we had the same need, or that desire, that training culture. But more importantly, to do exactly what you said, to silence the ones that were talking, this is just a job, this is for my benefits, whatever, every third day, not my emergency, bullshit all the way across. So I love the fact that, we're eons apart, but same mentality, same love and passion for the job. So Travis, let's talk to you, buddy. How were you involved in the conception of the Fools, and then how did you find yourself where you are now, and then what are you kind of doing with the organization?
Yeah, man. So Jacob and I actually met super early on in our fire service career. When we started out, we were working at Corinth, Mississippi, at a smaller department there. We were fortunate enough to have some officers and have some guys there that are super knowledgeable with the knowledge, aggressive firefighters that are plugged in and doing great things. Michael Taylor, Dixie Firemanship, Chris Duncan, and then I also had a lieutenant that Sean Nelms that was a big influence on me. We were just lucky enough to fall in with some good firemen that kind of paved the way for us, and gave me a love for the job. It's a real old city. We did get to make a lot of fires out there, but that kind of sparked my love for firemanship, and going on some pretty good jobs. I was like, hey, like, this isn't no joke. Like, you need to know your stuff. You need to be squared away. And if you're not, like, there's no hiding on the fire ground. You can talk whatever you want. You can say, oh, well, when the time comes, I can operate, and then go 10 toes up at 9 a.m. At the end of the day, you can't hide on the fire ground. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started, and how me and Jacob met. I did about 3.5 years there, and then just due to life circumstances, I was young, I was single, I was like, let me try something different. I moved to the coast, spent about 4 years down there, met some great guys, and then I met my beautiful wife Anna, and she is a nurse at St. Jude, and
Okay.
she was gonna move down there. We kind of reconnected, and she was gonna move down there. And after a lot of praying and deliberating, we decided come back up this way. I applied a few places and landed a job at South Haven. It's a super good department. We're at Memphis, Tennessee. We're just south of the Tennessee-Mississippi line. But yeah, that's kind of gets you up to speed with how I got involved with the Fools and with Old South. I saw Jacob started the chapter. I was still living on the coast. But as soon as I got back up, I was like, hey, man, what can I do? I wasn't a board member or anything like that, but I was like, what can I do? How can I help? Like, I was excited. I just wanted to be a part of what they had going on, what they were doing.
Love the story, and like I like how you guys transitioned to it. So let's go back to Jake for a second. So when you established your initial Fools chapter, was there any pushback? Was there any like, oh, is that a cool kid group or whatever? Or did guys just jump on board and say, man, let's go? How was it when you initially started to right now? Then I kind of want to start transition to your conference that you started last year, and then what you're continuing also.
Absolutely. So, I mean, as with anything new in the fire service, there's always going to be a little pushback. You know, the old heads, and like I've said before, typically any new thing that you want to introduce is a point of contention. But for the most part, you know, as I've said in other interviews we've done, is that we had a lot of seeds. You know, speaking back on what Travis was saying, people like Michael Taylor and Chris Duncan and all these guys that inspired us, they had kind of planted seeds in our area. You know, there's pockets of firemen in places like DeSoto County and Lafayette County where I work, Alcorn County, Lee County, all in the north part of the state. We actually had a pretty great reception, you know, and going back on some of the things the Fools stand for, you know, primarily what we were trying to do was find good men and women. As they say, you know, every fool is a brother, but not every brother is a fool. And it's that's what we were looking for primarily. So, you know, when we got started, I called people like I trust. You know, I got my friend Evan on board and Jerry on board and a couple of other ones, Chris Duncan on board. And we tried to honor our people that mentored us and give them, you know, trustee positions where they could help mentor and guide us into the future. But that's really where the mission came from. You know, Travis, he said he liked what we had going on, but that was very intentionally put together. Like I said, we were looking for good people, and Travis he's been a brother from day one. I was more than happy that he came when he did. It was just at the right time. A lot of people, you know, life changes. It throws some things at you, and not everyone is available. I like to tell people who are considering starting a new chapter, the most important thing is not the most qualified people. It's people who you have access to, people that have time for it, people who are going to make it a priority. So yeah, we got going. We're finally picking up some good steam. We're hosting, you know, 3 or 4 events a year, smaller trainings. Again, with this project, it started last year out of necessity. So, you know, with the Fools, we're about taking care of brothers. And we had a brother, Chris Duncan. He's been a rock for all of us. I mean, you could work 3 lifetimes and not have a leader like that. I mean, he is just an absolute stud in every sense of the word. He's a great leader. He sets expectations and things like that. But, you know, his wife had been given a pretty bad cancer diagnosis, and she has made a lot of sacrifices for us by lending him out to let him do the types of things that he's done to be able to support us in the way that we need and to support our community. So, you know, we were looking for things to do. We said, we've got this new thing. What can we possibly do to get it going? We started thinking, you know, we can have a raffle. You know, a lot of people raffle firearms over here. We got a lot of hunting culture, a lot of shooting culture. We thought about hosting a fish fry, you know, like a benefit. And then we said, hey, I talked to Jerry, talked to a couple of other guys. We'd hosted a training conference out of Corinth already in years prior. Why don't we, you know, get our own? And, you know, that was to be a goal in the future, but, you know, we let necessity drive us in that point in time. You know, we put our nose to the grindstone, kicked it into gear, and made hundreds of phone calls. We made beg, borrow, stole, whatever we had to do. And, you know, by the grace of God, we were able to get a pretty great fire conference put together in just 4 months' time.
Wow.
We got hooked up with some great sponsorship. A lot of our friends helped us out, a lot of the instructors. A big shout out to them, you know, Clay McGee, the guys from Magic City, Chief Riley. We had Port City, Anthony Rowett. He showed up.
State Fire Academy.
Yeah, State Fire Academy, Matt Hinkle, our friend. My mind's going 100 miles an hour. If I forget anyone, I'm sorry. But, you know, they really did help us out. And, you know, they came through in a time of need. And it speaks to the brotherhood and, you know, what the fools stand for. We were
Sam.
able to benefit from the reputation. Sam Sparasolo, Small Town Fools, Hammond, Louisiana. The reputation that they'd already garnered amongst the fire service, you know, lent itself to us in that situation. And we were able to donate all the profits that we made out of registration fees, out of T-shirt sales, raffle tickets, everything toward some cancer treatment for Chris's wife. And, you know, we decided this year we want to bring it back, you know, keep the same spirit. We liked what happened. We were able to sit back now and adjust and plan better and not, you know, have just 4 months to plan. Long way of saying it, but.
No, that was perfect because I mean I'm intrigued. Like you're a very good storyteller. So it's we have the entire history now of exactly why you guys started and where your transition into the future. So when we talk about you guys existing and now starting these conferences, what kind of reaction are you getting from your state, especially? Is this something that first of all, are there other Fools chapter in your state? And then how do you guys communicate with them? And then more importantly, how is the state supporting you when it comes down to it? Are all the neighboring jurisdictions going, man, hey, we went last year, we're going to go again this year, kind of deal? If you've even heard any of that scuttlebutt yet around your area.
Well, you know, there is a lot of support from our state. It's spotty. I'll be honest with you. I mean, there's no point in, you know, making it to be something it's not. You know, like they say, you're not quite a prophet in your hometown, or I probably butchered that quote, but, you know, we've had a lot of success. You know, our first training that we did last spring, summer, we had kids driving from 3 and 4 hours away, coming to spend the night before to get up to be able to come to our training. You know, it's very humbling to have these people travel. You know, the city of Madison, Mississippi, or Madison, the city as they call themselves, they sent, I think, 6 firefighters last year. They took us at our word and really did us a great honor by sending just 6 new firefighters to come train with us.
Wow, that's really good.
DeSoto County, I want to say that they make up probably, what would you say, Travis, probably 3/4 of our membership?
About 3/4. I would say
somewhere between a half and 3/4, but
yeah, it's a good amount, and we're 90 miles away.
Wow.
The state's been pretty receptive. Like I said, you know, by the grace of God, we've had really good mentors that have been placed in positions of influence, and that's not because they didn't earn it. You know, like we talk about, you know, Matt Hinkle. He's now the director over Firemanship, which is a new, I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a new bureau of the Mississippi State Fire Academy. And they're able to push the type of things that we're moving towards, more practical tradesman style firefighting, as opposed to, you know, 4-letter organization firefighting, you know, the NFPAs and all that jazz. So it's been pretty good.
Oh, honestly, it sounds like it's been freaking awesome for you guys, and especially having your membership base being so sporadic through the state. I think that's a good thing because, like, for us right now, we're kind of the same because we're the only ones in Arizona, kind of. There's one farther north of us right now. But with that said, we're almost talking about, like, should we all just be one? Like, why would we have multiple chapters? But that's something that we're trying to support them because they're just getting up and going now, and we've been going for a little bit. So just trying to keep that brotherhood alive also. But I like what you said about the Fools. It's like, I always say the question should be like, why are you not a Fools member? You know, that's really the question. But and again, we know the people that we recruit, or not really recruit. We know the people that we desire. We know the people that come out to us. But before we transition off on the Fools, I really want to get to some fun firemanship, especially in your region, because we haven't had anybody in your region on the show yet. Is there anything you want to add about the Fools before we kind of transition to on-the-job stuff?
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I'm what they call a non-neurotypical human being. I run on caffeine and Adderall, but missed a minute ago. You had asked me about whether or not, you know, we had other chapters in our state. You know, we've been very blessed to kind of gain some traction, but you wouldn't think it. Mississippi, and honestly, that's one thing I'll say of our state is that we're surprising. You know, a lot of people have preconceived notions about what we are, but, you know, to tell you the truth, we have 3 or 4 different firefighting styles in the state of Mississippi. So we have North Mississippi. We share Northeast and Northwest. There's Mississippi Mayhem Fools in the Northwest corner. That's more of our Delta region. We've now got 601 Fools, which is Central Mississippi, and that's kind of out of the Jackson state capital area. That's our urban center for the state. And we've got Mississippi, it's the, I don't want to get it wrong, Coastal Magnolia Fools on the Mississippi Gulf Coast now. And that's all within a year's time. When we pushed off in December of 2023, We were the
You're the
only
first.
active chapter. There is one chapter that's went defunct in the Mississippi Delta. We haven't heard much out of them, but I would hope to get them on the line in the future. But we do have some support now across the state.
That's awesome. And it is surprising because I always refer back to like the states with a lot of chapters, Jersey, New York, stuff like that. But it's like, I think Jersey's got like 10 or 11 freaking chapters, but yeah, I would imagine you guys would have one, maybe two, and so I guess it's showing the need across the nation, honestly, because we're new. We started right around the same time you guys started. And I kind of feel like the more Fools chapter members I meet, it's becoming the new norm. Like, hey, dude, we started in 2021, 2022, 2023. Basically, like, their region, how it laxed after COVID, basically. It's like, hey, someone laxed quicker, they started back quicker. But I feel like it's because it's the desire that us, I say us as in just the American Fire Service as a whole, for this new information or more information because, and we've talked about it a million times, I really want to hear your guys' opinion on it. Old school mentality, it's keep your mouth fucking shut, do what I tell you to do, kid, and that's it. And there's no why, there's no questioning. Obviously, today's day is completely different for goods and bads. But with that said, we have to know the why now. But I'm wondering if you're seeing a transition in your guys' departments, because with us, I'd say over the last 5 years, there's been a complete transition where it wasn't, we used to have the guys that would say, bro, we do it this way or this way because that's the way we always do it. Now, about 5 years ago, finally, with all these new modalities being accepted, like guys actually willing to say, hey, what don't we actually know? Let's try it out. Holy cow, it's easier, or it's more efficient, or it's faster, whatever the case might be. And then, well, I hear we're having a very good cultural shift. Or how are you guys experienced that, or is that not even on the radar yet?
Yeah, I've actually got a little bit of I guess a testimonial, if you will, on that. Like, I agree with you fully. I'm seeing a huge shift with that. Just speaking back to our chapter and having a lot of guys out of DeSoto, I haven't even been at South Haven quite a year now. I fell in with a super good group of guys. We're at a busy station. I'm at a truck out there, but immediately, just in passing and mentioning what we had going on with Old South, my lieutenant and then my driver, who's actually rides out of rank lieutenant for me a lot, we're like, what's this you got going on? What do y'all have going on? And they they were like, well, I want to go. So they've showed up to a ton of as a lieutenant, out rank lieutenant, they've showed up to a ton of our events. Now, one of them, we ended up being like, hey, we need you to instruct. But, they humbled themselves to be like, okay, well, here's this new firefighter, but I want to see what he has going on with this, and show up and, be students of the game and be able to humble themselves and be like, there's more for me to learn. I don't know everything. And I'm seeing a huge shift with that, with all across the board, at least where I've dealt with it. Jacob?
Yeah, he's absolutely right, and that's part of it. Is as I said earlier, it's about facilitating, and it's one of those things. If not me, then who? I mean, I know I'm young in the game, but I've made a habit of trying to position myself under people smarter than me. There's an old quote that I love. It says that I'm the combined effort of everyone I've ever known, and that's really what I can say about it. But people have been very receptive. There have been a lot of people. I've said it before. People want to bang their head against the wall because the saying is, once you know better, you do better. But there's a lot of people that know better that aren't being able to affect any type of change. And don't get me wrong, all the old heads, they probably think that we're trying to come in and burn the house down and start over. But like one of my favorites says, Hank Williams Jr., he says, we like some of the old stuff and some of the new. The Mississippi Fire Service, when I started, I had a very salty captain, smoke diver named Ty Weatherby at Boonville Fire Department. And man, he ground me down, but he cooked it out of my blood. We spent a lot of time in the heat house. He got me ready. And, there's aspects to it that, we need to keep, and that's part of preserving the tradition. We need to be strong. We need to be smart. We need to be well-trained, practiced, conditioned, all these things. But, we don't need to be scared to implement change. Like I said, when you know better, you're able to do better. But our objective is not to tell someone, you know, we want to do it this way. This is the way. We want to provide them with as much information as we can so that they can make data-driven decisions. Look at the numbers. You know, if you don't believe me, let's get out on the pad. Let's try this new hose load. Let's you know, try this new search technique. And sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. But you know, we're gaining enough traction. And like Travis said, there's enough people that are engaging with us that are willing to pitch in and to listen, and it's really humbling.
I feel exactly what you guys are saying right now, and the crazy thing about it is we go through all the same transitions. You know, it's like between the culture and everything else, but it's even though we're far enough apart, it's pretty much identical from what I'm hearing. And we are having this shift in the culture where the guys want to know more and they want to train and they want to have a bunch of different things. And our preach down here has been lately, and I hope it hits home. It makes sense to us, but we're like saying, hey, I'm not trying to eliminate anything you've been taught in the fire service at all. I want to teach you one or two additional ways to do exactly what you already know how to do. And then when you get that call, I want to empower you either in that right front seat or that back step or wherever you are, you know, to make an educated decision for what you're coming across that day, that time, that scene, that house, that setback, that time of the year, right? Because there's never always a never with us. It's always gray. So it's like, I want to give you 20 different options for one single call. And then empower you to make the decision you feel like is correct. And guess what? If you're wrong, we learn something and we'll talk about it. We'll do a tailboard and talk, right? If you're right, guess what? Yeah, pat on the back. Good freaking job, bro. And everyone's better for it. But the crazy thing, to me, that makes sense. But we still get kickback of, well, I don't understand. If the old way works, then why even entertain a new way? Even though we showed them it was quicker, more efficient, it's just odd to me. But bros, I feel you. You know, it's the same mentality. So does that kind of resonate with your guys' culture right now too? I'm a big fan of not eliminating anything. Like, you know, vertical ventilation, huge topic across the United States right now. For us in my region is tile roofs. Do we ventilate or not ventilate on a tile roof because of the additional weight? My argument is I don't want to tell any of my guys you cannot do something. I want to say, do you have the freaking personnel, the PPE, and the training to do it? If the answer is yes to all three, go. Like, you don't need to even ask. Just go and go to work. But that's what confuses me when it comes down to, like, why there's even pushback about these new techniques or cultures or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the way I approach it, a lot of the time, a lot of people, you know, the level 1 and 2 stuff, people want to hate on it or whatever. And, you know, just the way I try to approach it, especially with what we're doing, and we're getting a lot of young guys, and they come in and they say, hey, well, yeah, but, you know, the academy showed us this way, or the book told us this way. And my thing is like, it's just like any other profession. It's not wrong. We have to build a framework. We can't there are some things that can be taught right straight out the gate. We don't want to create training scholars with bad techniques, but you got to lay a framework for people straight off the ground. And the fire service isn't meant to be, we get level 1 and 2 and it stops there, and that's the tactics we continue in. The tactics that an MLB hitter and the way that he hits isn't going to be the same you're taught in Little League. You know, and we need to take that framework we have, and then that's where firemanship comes in and bridges that gap to continually learn and continually figure out what is the best way to do this. Level 1 and 2 it's just a framework, and then, you know, what we're doing is trying to transition these people into that next level of being a true senior backstep guy.
I got you. Now, a question I have for both you guys. I'm sorry, Jake. Go ahead. Do you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, you know, I think a huge benefit could be had from just considering where it's coming from. You know, as I had a conversation with one of my good friends earlier, Mike Goldstein, we had a conversation earlier. You know, I made the statement that, you know, from the time you slip your boots on for the first time, I think most schedules hold true to this. You will spend 1/3 of all your life with your crew. You know, the 1/3 of all of it, not 1/3 of, you know, this, that, and the other, but literally every third day, you know, 2 on, 4 off. But this is your family. You know, these are the people that are going to have your back in some of your darkest times. You know, these are your friends. These are the people that you can talk to about work, that, you know, when you can't talk about it at home, you're driving your wife crazy, you can call your friend and be like, hey, what do you think about this? But, you know, if you consider it from that, and we're not pushing change for the sake of change, we're wanting to do better. I want all my friends to be rock stars. I want all my rookies I have under me coming in to be rock stars, because that makes us look good. It's pride, it's care, it's mentoring. You know, it's more than just a job. And when we look at that, you know, we need to push it from that aspect is, you know, we should want to do better for the right reason, you know, speak to the heart of the job, which is helping people.
Yeah, and like you said, why do we always say, hey, we get in a job, we want to help people, but we never talk about the brothers. Like and just like you said, and I say it all the time. I mean, literally what you said, I said, if you don't work an hour of overtime, you're going to spend 1/3 of your life with these boys, right? That's it, period, the end. That is exactly why they are your second family. But we also teach them too, like, listen, say yes more than you say no, things like that for your department, stuff along those lines. But this is also the only profession that can actually replace your family. And that's not a good thing, obviously, because, and we all know there's guys that work a ton of overtime because it seems like a really good idea or whatever. And then before you know it, you never see your old lady anymore. You never see your kids anymore. And yeah, you have a ton of money, but now she just left you and took half of it. So what was the reason for any of that? You know, it sucks. It's a balance. You got to literally balance like your kids and your stepkids, you know, like, you know, your family is your kids and then your stepkids are the boys at work. But yeah, it's still the best job in the world. I mean, it's the only place you can have adult sleepovers, you know, and it's not weird. So,
And, you know,
I mean, it can be weird if you want to.
given our line of work too, I mean, you know, it's, you know, we always catch that stigma. It's like, man, y'all don't get paid anything. And, you know, and, you know, I don't want my kids to look at me like a bum. I don't want my wife to look at me like a bum. You know, I want her to see that my heart is in this line of work. You know, I want to legitimize firemanship as a way of life, you know, something that we can all be proud of. You know, every dad wants their kids, you know, to be admired by their children and to be admired by their wife, or, you know, females doing it, they want to be admired by their spouse as well and their kids. But that's an important part of it, you know, staying in this, you know, committing to it, being as you say you are, not as you seem, you know. So that's a big reason why we stay motivated to put as much work into this as we do, is because we can have that. You know, it may not be the same. Of course, we're not going to make up for 150, 200 years of culture like Boston or FDNY or some of these other departments, Baltimore. But, you know, we can have something nice. We can do better than what we've been doing for each other and for our families.
well spoken, brother. Well spoken. Yeah. Mike Goldstein, the man, the Can Report. Great freaking podcast. He's always linked on the bottom over here. Yeah, good, solid fireman all the way around. And again, another dude that's nowhere close to you guys, right? And then that's one of the best things I think about this profession is the firemanship and the immediate connection, no matter, like, we have never met in person ever, right? And we're brothers. That's just how it is. It's because of this job. And more importantly, I believe it's because of the love and passion for this calling and this job. That's what brings us so close. More than, I think, any other thing out there. More than the military, more than the police. Again, my personal opinion, but that's strongly what I believe.
Yeah, we did have the pleasure of hanging out. We actually met Mike. Jacob did a lot of networking at Fools International last year, met Rusty and the New England Fools guys, and they invited us
Rusty
up.
Rickard.
We actually got to go out to New England's training summit in Maine, and that's when we caught up with Mike and instantly hit it off with him. Great guy.
Yeah,
I love
dude,
those
that's
guys
awesome.
so much. They're fantastic, and, you know, that's you know, we hit on it, but, you know, I think we could do a lot better if we focus on the things we have in common. There's any amount of stuff that could make us just absolutely hate each other, roll our eyes at each other. You know, some hick from Mississippi talking to people from New England, talking to, you know, transplants from Maryland out to, you know, Arizona. Yeah, the Fools, it's been a great experience, and it's been really eye-opening. You know, I've said it before, but, you know, just watching these guys on YouTube and like, hey, who is that? And it's like, oh, that's him. It's like, oh, wow, you know. But they've been very kind to us. You know, they brought us up to their conference this March, and we got to meet some of our heroes. You know, just off the top of my head, getting to see Paul Combs in person, live and in living color, and chop it up with him.
That's cool.
Was an experience. It's neat. It's definitely neat for us Mississippi kids. We don't get a lot of opportunities. We're not just walking around with holes in our shoes and wearing overalls all day like people think. But there is some truth into some of the stereotypes. But it was nice to have some friends in high places with this organization that look to take care of us. And speaking, to the entire organization, they're very invested in watching Mississippi come online, and that's very close to my heart, and I appreciate them for that.
Yeah. I love it. It sounds like you guys are surrounded by the love and passion for the job. So it's amazing to hear. So kind of transitioning from the pools, just to talk a little bit about the job for a minute. So you guys work in the same state but different fire departments, used to be together. So I'm just curious. So Travis, let's start with you. So if you get put out for your bread and butter, your 95% aggressive interior attack on a house fire kind of deal, how's that dispatched in the area you work? What do you get? And then how do you guys kind of run the call? Is it like predetermined running assignments? Is it like an IC1, NIMS model? Just kind of break down how you guys run the box, whatever you call it, right? And just entertain us so we can figure out how Mississippi rolls now too.
Yeah, so like Jacob was saying, we have a lot of very different styles of firefighting in the state. The way we operate is going to be very different from like the way a lot of places operate. We've got 5 stations, 5 engines, 2 true truck companies, and then we run 5 ambulances, fire-based EMS, but they're staffed with single role medics and EMTs. But I don't think we're running off of technically any type of like blue card or NIMS model. We have our districts, and then we have our response area, and then our first dues for 1 alarm, 2 alarm, or 3 alarm, I think. But bread and butter, you're going to get a 31. We're going to get 2 engine companies and a truck company. And then an ambulance, one of our ambulances will respond and be outside. So typically we just had one recently I was working on. I typically I'm on a truck company. I'm assigned to truck 1, kind of in the hood. But I was actually working at an outstation on our engine 2. So we had 2 engine and 1 truck response. We got there, we stretched lines, forced door, and then while we were stretching lines, our first due was the same as our truck company. Our truck company went ahead, searched the head of our hose line. We stretched. It was a small 3-bed, 1-bath apartment. Stretched up the stairwell. Our truck company actually found the fire room first because they were searching ahead of us and put it out, got it extinguished. They finished their primary, that's pretty typical of what you're going to get on a 3-1. We're going to get a 2 engine, 1 truck response. Typically, truck is gonna if conditions dictate it, we're going to go ahead and like off my truck company, we're going to go ahead and start a primary. We know our roles. We will. If it's a big enough fire, we'll roll the second truck company. But if we finish our primary, or if we have another engine company that we can send in to search without a hose line, we'll go ahead and vent. So we operate as true engine and truck companies. We have a great truck culture and engine culture, especially for the state. We typically are fully staffed with 4 or 5-man engine companies, 4-man truck companies. But yeah, we're very rare in the state for that, and that's kind of what I'm trying to bring to the table. Just as far as the fools go, is I'm able to kind of bring a little bit of that true engine and truck culture to what we're doing.
Now, do you have a battalion that responds on the initial box assignment or no?
Correct. Yeah. So we just opened up our 5th station and started our plans for our 6th station, and we run 2 battalions. We just added another battalion. So our 3 house is actually split when it comes to battalion between our engine and our truck company out of there. So 1 battalion covers the truck, and then 1, 2, and 3, and then other battalion covers engine of 3, and then station 4 and 5.
All right. So the other question I had for you, Trav, was so I love hearing the aggressive truck work. I mean, I'm a truckie through and through, so I love it. It freaking gets me hard on every freaking time. But so you talked about searching the head of the hose line, awesome. I'm sure you guys do probably a lot of cam work. Do you do
Yeah.
searches through Windows also? So are you like a vent enter search isolate company, or is that not? Is that a nuance in your region?
Uh, so our truck bosses, so our lieutenants get a good amount of liberty. Our battalions don't really micromanage. So there may be lieutenants that aren't gonna send a team in to veterinary search. My company does. If conditions dictate and we need to do a VES, we will. If we're able to just go ahead and search ahead of the hose line and do a full primary for bad conditions and searchable space, I can especially speak for my crew. We're gonna vet it or isolate search. And we will search a little bit past that door if conditions let us. I'm lucky enough. I'm an awesome crew. All my guys are super aggressive. Yeah, but 100%.
Cool, dude. I love it. So, all right, same question, Jake. Your bread and butter, 3-1. What do you get? How do you guys operate? And then the second half of that question, I didn't even get a chance to because Travis is a man and started already talking about truck culture. That was going to be the next question. Like, what's the truck culture, and then what's your search culture? So, if you can kind of. Travis's answer was perfect, so I won't give any pressure to you to be better, but you might be worse. So I would love to hear it though.
It's an interesting answer. So most of rural Mississippi, we take an all hands approach. Just speaking at my first department I started at, we're sending every rig we have. We had, I want to say, 8 or 9 personnel for the entire city. When I started, Station 1, we had a quint, we had a rescue there. We had our battalion typically is going to be driving the quint. The rookie is going to be on the quint with him. The captain typically is going to take the rescue. Station 2 is a 2-man station. It's going to be your station officer is your driver at this department. So it's going to be him and his firefighter. And then Station 3 has got a engine there, and they also have a county rig. So depending on whether or not the firefighter staff to the county rig is out, working a job in the rural part of the county, kind of a mutual aid thing that they have going on. You could have 2 or you could have 3 on that engine. So a lot of the time, like say we get a structure fire, we've got all hands there. If you're first due, obviously you're gonna set up, you're gonna pull the line, you're gonna get the truck in the pump, you're gonna go ahead and check the door, see if you can make entry. If you can't, pop the door, get ready, and you're waiting a lot of times to even make fire attack until second dude gets there with another firefighter on that rig to team up, and you kind of combine and go ahead and make the fire attack. Now we've got an interesting concept we're kind of working on, trying to we always say we're squad by default. By and large, Mississippi, you don't get the luxury of being a truckie or being an engine guy. You have to know how to do anything at any given time. Whether it's auto extrication, whether it's being suppression, doing truck work, throwing a ladder, doing a VES, doing a primary search, popping the door. It's just bam, 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 bam. And with that low staffing, we don't even typically get the luxury of having a RIT team. Because if you think about it, you've got to account for, you've got one officer that's got to be IC. It's typically your battalion, unless the chief shows up, and they don't always show up. Then you've got to account for, okay, I've got to have somebody manning the pump. So what you're looking at is typically 6 people, working an entire fire scene. We don't get this, large swath of dispatch like a lot of urban areas do, or better staffed areas. So, I mean, it's one of the things I like to say that Mississippi does actually have to offer the fire service is, we have to, by necessity, be more well-rounded firemen and be ready to do anything at a moment's notice. It's like a living, breathing CPAT. You're one thing to the next, to the next. Our truck culture and engine culture are so meshed together. A lot of our primary searches are done off of a hose line, and that's not something I typically, just me personally, like I said, it doesn't represent the view of anybody I work for, even part-time. But like any Parks and Rec fans out there, the guy who says don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. I'm very pro truck culture. The search is the job. We're looking for life. We're in there trying to occupy searchable space and find victims. Let the fire suppression team do their job, but a lot of times, we don't have the luxury. So, we're very adaptive in the way that we approach things, and that's something you can take these things, these 2D thoughts, and kind of amp them up a little bit. Work like a pit crew. Like when this guy's doing this, hey, I'm waiting out here in the yard. your third team, say you've got search in one corner of the house and you've got fire suppression in the other corner of the house, somebody's going to come out, and whoever's tired first is usually the ones that come out, and you're in there replacing them. So, you can be pulling bottles out, getting ready to do bottle swaps. You can be throwing ladders, making multiple points of egress if needed. But that's kind of the thing we're trying to establish is get more forward thinking, think 2 steps ahead, keep it kind of rolling. Like I said, we don't have the luxury of having all that support or all the resources, especially personnel-wise, but we had no choice. The public expects the exact same thing they do from Travis as they do me, or even you. They don't think about that. They want SEAL Team 6 come dropping out of the sky, coming to save them, a bunch of G.I. Joe Ninja Warrior type guys. But we don't always have the luxury of having those resources. That's typically, I would say, most of Mississippi is all hands approach. Now, the department that I work for now is a combination department. I'm kind of learning how that works, getting into rural firefighting. We have 2 full-time stations, and we have a couple of other stations that we staff with part-time personnel. But you never know who's going to show up there. Sometimes it's nobody. Sometimes it's everybody. Relay pumping is a big deal where we are. Yeah, we're having to do more with less.
Is there any area, or I shouldn't say any area, is there any department within your guys' general area that's still all volunteer, or is it all combination now in your guys'?
I would say it's 70% of our state is volunteer, and that's a huge part of our mission and our training events. Yeah, a huge. I would say a lot of our membership is volunteer. A lot of we do have a lot of combination departments, but yeah, Mississippi's super rural. I would say we're probably 70% volunteers as far as departments go. Like it's nothing for career departments to be 30 to 60 miles apart from each other to the next career department. There's not a lot.
Wow.
Just across, if you go the width of the top of our state from where Jacob is to where I am, which is the whole width of the state, there's probably, I would say maybe 5 career departments, not even.
Yeah.
I think 3.
Typically, the way it works is we have what we call a county seat. Basically, if you're looking at a county, basically the city in the middle of it, that's your city. That's going to be your career agency, and everything in between is going to be volunteer territory typically. Now, places like DeSoto County, which is, like he said, is a suburb of Memphis, they're more industrialized. They need better fire protection. They have a lot higher population, a lot of more need there. They have 2 or 3 agencies. So I can say, Prentice County, where I'm from, has 1. Alcorn County has 1. Lee County has 2. Pontotoc has 1. Lafayette County has 2. And then I know I'm missing a couple here and there, but it's typically 1 or 2 is all we get. And there's no real mutual aid going on. Like we were talking about about Evan getting the Special Operations Response Team in Alcorn County getting set up. That's a big deal.
Amazing thing he's doing.
We've got a lot of the sharper volunteers and some of the career guys have come together, and anytime that there is a structure fire within the county or a technical rescue, OSAR, anything like that, we're able to back them up and kind of cover some of the bases, so to speak. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a huge part of what we're doing. To kind of elaborate more on the volunteers, these guys are working, these are blue collar guys trying to pay their bills. They're working 5 12-hour days in a factory or in a trade. These guys don't have the luxury of packing up and going to FDIC on their own dime, or they're trying to put food on the table, or going to, you name it, conference. They can't do it. They don't have the time, understandably so, and they don't have their department's just not going to send them. Jacob and I are super lucky. Our departments are very good about helping us with outside training and allowing us to go. But we feel like we'd be doing our state and our area disservice if we're going in and taking this information in and not bringing it back to these organizations and these volunteer or small career departments and guys that aren't able to go get this information. That's a huge part of what we're doing is trying to bring low cost, easily accessible training to our area.
Absolutely. It's tough. One of the things about Mississippi is pay disparity between the northeast corner and the northwest corner. I commute 2 hours from where I live to to make what I make to pay my bills. But, you have to have two jobs in most parts of our state. You have to. There's no way around it. You're working for literally like 27,000 a year, 30,000 a year. 50 a year is considered good pay in the state of Mississippi, and going up from there. But I love my job, and I love these departments I work for, and I don't hold any of the guys. There's no resentment toward any of the guys I've worked with or the cities I work for. It's just, for the most part, it's just not feasible to pay firemen what we'd like to be paid. Most of us would love to not have to have a second job. Most of us would. That's just kind of the culture here. We're working men that believe in taking care of our family. But, man, it's tough. It is, like, very, very tough to make in some of these places. So we want to be able to give them an opportunity to experience some of the things that we do. Our big thing that we say is being able to make a play. There's no reason, you're not going to be an all-star all the time, especially if you don't have the time to give, if you don't have the resources, a door prop to train on. But we want to be able to at least give something to our volunteers that they can put in their pocket to save a life. I mean, our communities deserve that. Our state deserves that. But that's something that's close to our heart, is training up our volunteers, supporting them. And in turn, we're building a network and something that'll give back to everyone.
That's awesome. What a good freaking solid group of guys you are. I mean, you're doing it for all the right reasons for the American Fire Service in your freaking region. And like I said, and you're doing it because that it's a need and it's what you guys want and it's the right freaking thing to do. So freaking kudos to what you guys are doing. I'm freaking super stoked to be any part of anything you guys are ever involved in. But just before we start wrapping into the questions to end out the season, we've been going for about an hour. Is there anything either you guys want to add before we start wrapping it down?
Jacob, you want to kind of like pitch our upcoming conference and kind of speak on that a little bit? We'd like to throw that out there, bring some awareness to our conference in October.
Yeah, to anybody watching, we've worked very hard to put this together. We want to create a good experience, hit all the good aspects about it, quality lecture, intentional hands-on training. We're working to provide a product that is beneficial, that's not like anything anyone else offers. We're working on getting good entertainment to have a good time. And as always, food's great in Mississippi, but that's part of it too. We are trying to create just a full spectrum experience for everyone, have a good raffle, have good vendors set up, brotherhood events. But this year, our conference is set up to benefit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. And for those of you that are watching that are not familiar with the work that they do, they provide health care for children facing, very, very serious illnesses. Sorry, that sounded silly. I had a stutter there, but facing very serious illnesses, and they provide that to them free of charge, regardless of their ability to pay. And that's something that's very close to our heart. Obviously, Travis's wife, Anna, she works there, but we want to pay it forward. So basically, by coming to this event, we're going to take all of the funds that we raise from registration, T-shirt sales, and raffle tickets and all those things, and pay that forward, 100% of it. We rely on sponsorships to cover our overhead costs. We work really hard to secure those, and it's going to be a great time. And for those of you who don't already know, Steve's coming to join us. He's going to help us out with lecturing, our hands-on training. We're looking very, very forward to this event. Am I missing anything, Travis?
No, I think that's it. We got Steve coming, and then, like you said, Mike Goldstein's going to be helping lecture hands-on. Chief Clyde Gordon. And then we've got some of the guys from Ambassadors of the Craft, some more Westy guys close to you. We got Colin
Rural Fire
Tactics, and then his buddy Jay Fuller of Ambassadors of the Craft, and then Manny Barajas, and then some more guys from Rural Fire Tactics. We're bringing guys from all around. It's going to be a wide range of topics, and it's gonna be top notch. And then I think I'm pretty excited about our evening social events. I think they're gonna be second to none. I think if anybody comes, they should at least come for that.
It's going to be a blast. But yeah, if there's anyone out there watching this that has a brand or a product they want to push, we'll make room to put you a table out. Like, that's something that we stand very strongly with. We support, firemen-owned businesses and ventures that support our craft. There's room for everybody. And if you want to pitch in to support us, like I said, we get the conference covered. Everything north of that is straight to the kids.
Raffle items.
Yeah. That's a big one, too. It's going to be a great time. If you're a praying side, just pray for us and the work that we're doing here. It's turned into something big. I'm very, very proud of it.
Yeah, it sure is. Well, you guys are, like I said, you're doing the good work in Mississippi right now. I mean, I'm incredibly impressed on what you guys have accomplished in such a short period of time, and it's inspirational. So just keep up the freaking hard work, man. And you guys they're doing the right thing for the right reason, and good things are coming your way. You're already seeing it now. So I'm privileged to be part of that. So I appreciate you guys more than you know. But yeah, let's wrap into it. So let's get into, I love this question, the why. So it's just a little bit more about y'all, but it's the why. So why did you guys join the American Fire Service? Was it something you wanted to do as a kid? Did you get bit by the bug? I mean, what it was. So Jake, let's start with you, brother. Why become a fireman in your area?
Man, I took the long way around. 2018, I was, let's see, 20, 25, 26. I did a brief stint in the military. I'd been a Boy Scout when I was a kid. Went to school pursuing a degree in criminal justice, homeland security emphasis. I knew I wanted to help people, but I'd taken some time off and worked in corrections for a while. And I was actually going to turn in, y'all can laugh if you want, my application for trooper school the day that the fire chief called me in my hometown. But no, and I truly believed that was my calling, and that was God reaching down and kind of nudging me in the way that He knows that would make my heart happy, and that's my why. Is no other work in the world is like this. I know that every night that I lay my head down, I know that if I've done anything, it's something to help somebody. There's no ulterior motive behind it other than goodwill. It's something that hits all the aspects for me. It keeps me, physically straight. Keeps me fit. It's good for me spiritually. I truly believe that the fire service is the Lord's work. The Lord, He's very blessed me with the ability to do this line of work, and being rooted in faith is something I recommend to everyone. I'm not saying you have to do it like me, but there's power in prayer. It definitely changes things, and when you know what you're doing and why you're doing it, it helps out a lot too. But that's basically my why. I always admired the fire service as a kid, but never in a million years did I think I'd be doing it. But now that I am, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
I love it. All right, Travis, you're up, brother.
All right, so my life kind of changed, but so initially, I don't have any family in the fire service. I had some good friends that kind of started the fire service. I was kind of just a shithead kid, skateboarding, drinking, chasing women, whatever I could get. Whatever I could get, riding motorcycles, dirt bikes, whatever I could get a little thrill from. Graduated high school, kind of bounced around a little bit, just doing out and in's job. Got into personal training. The gym I worked at shut down. So I called my buddy. I was like, "Hey, can I have a job?" He's like, "Yeah, come do construction, hang drywall." Hung drywall for 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for about 6 months. I was like, I can't do this anymore, man. Not in the Mississippi humidity. Like, I was like, I can't do this. So when my buddy was like, "Hey, man, put in an application over here at the fire department," I was like, I've never been to fire school. They're like, "No, it's not like that. You just get hired and they do it all." So I went and put an application in. I was like, okay, whatever. They sent me a letter. They're like, "Come try this physical thing." I was like, okay, cool. Showed up, they're like closed-toed shoes and long pants. So I showed up in boots and jeans, passed CPAT. They called me about a week later and, "Hey, can you come take a drug test?" Took a drug test, stuff. They drove me. I was in the chief's car, came back. Well, they start handing me clothes. And finally, I'm like, wait, does this mean I work here? Like, yeah, you're hired. I was like, oh, okay. I guess I'm doing this thing. And, but I ran that first call in a 10-ton fire truck screaming down the road. Like, there's nothing more punk rock than that. I was like, I am hooked. From that day on, I was like, it just the thrill of it. Just to be honest, I don't have a cool answer, but just the thrill of it. But now my why has significantly changed. Now, being a dad and a husband and just imagining what I would expect from another fireman if my family was in a bad way and needed them, the standard that I would expect of myself and anyone else is just dramatically changed of my why. Like, I think about that daily. It used to be like ego to some extent of, can I be better than the other guy as far as like why I did what I do, but now just like if it was my family, what would I expect of myself? What level should I be at? But yeah, sorry, a little
Yeah.
long
Man,
winded,
yeah,
but yeah.
we didn't know what we were getting into, dude. But yeah, that first time I took that CPAT, dude, I thought it was just the stair stepper. They're like, come on. I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, you gotta do this. I'm like, oh shit. But man,
Tell it-
yeah, like I said, we didn't
I
know
think
what we
it's
were getting into.
no. It sounds like Travis got hired by accident. If you're
Pretty
being honest with
much,
him.
literally.
Like, so you're
We
like,
don't.
so I work here now. Okay, cool. Like, all right, I'll
I
figure it out.
mean, show up tomorrow.
All right, so
Cool
now
job,
we
free
know
hat.
yeah, right. It's like, hey, I got a t-shirt and a ball cap. I'm in, right? What else does the guy need? Oh my God. So we know the why. I love the whys. So let's get into the next question. Let's talk about traditions. So this is one of my favorites. So we know why you got in the fire service. Now we know you guys are rooted in traditions just because of being a Fools member alone. So Jake, we'll start with you again. So what's your favorite tradition, either in the American Fire Service as a whole, or maybe something that's just per your department? But the real question is why? Why is that your favorite?
Me personally, I put a lot of thought into it, but I would have to say the Proby culture. I know that's a weird answer, but to me, it's something really special if you do it the right way. You've got your little duckling that follows you around at the fire department until they're ready to do their job. But it's always been something fun to me. You've got all the opportunity in the world at your feet. You're able to invest in them some things that you didn't get to learn until 3 to 5 years into your career. That they get the chance to be better than you. You're literally building your legacy sometimes. That's always really special to me. We had a tradition it's common among a lot of Mississippi departments is you get your shield. A lot of times you don't have a frontal on your helmet until you complete the fire academy, but being able to earn your place, take your Proby shirt off and put your new shirt on is special. But I don't think that we need to take that lightly. It's something very important, and you're literally building the framework for what your department's going to be in the future by how much you put into it.
Yeah, I love it, and I think it's a great answer. The entire probationary process because of kind of how you wrapped it up at the end. Hey, it's your fire department, bro. And it's true because you guys are gonna be gone before they're gone, so it's theirs. When we're gone, it's theirs. So,
And
all right,
seeing them
Travis, what about you,
win.
brother? Oh, no, go ahead, Jake.
Oh no, yeah, it's special. Seeing them win and do well. But that's all I had left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if mine is necessarily. I don't know if it's considered a tradition, but I guess my favorite tradition of the fire service is just suffering together. Whether it be a
Yeah.
sucky workout, a sucky gear training, or a sucky call, like you're out there fighting. We had a big, crush lot of cars, like 200 cars on fire. We were out there for like 13 hours, but just sucking it up and like, dude, there's no one that takes more pride in just being completely screwed than the fire service. We will laugh about it, like, dude, that sucked. That's my favorite tradition. Just like nothing brings you tighter, brings you closer than those calls or those workouts where you're just suffering.
Yeah,
Oh my
you're
gosh.
absolutely right. Embrace the suck, right?
And
I
then
agree
get together
wholeheartedly,
and go
brother,
get
on
waffles.
all aspects. Yeah, yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, we embrace the suck, and then we'll go get tacos at 3 a.m. together if we need to. Holy cow! All right, so we know the why. We got the traditions. So my favorite question. So if you could snap your fingers and change something in the American Fire Service, what would it be and why? And when I say no sweat equity, instant gratification, but there's only one thing. But what's the why? So Jake, what would you change, brother?
Man, that's probably the toughest question of all because if you're around any firehouse for too long, you'll hear 1,000 answers by the time you leave. Man, just being able to fix the culture thing. I mean, that's the battle we all fight. Is just getting people to buy in. And it's a hard battle. It's a daily struggle. But I think that if the day comes that everybody finally figures it out and gets it together, man, this thing will really really change.
No, I agree. Good answer, brother. What about you, Trav?
Probably the AAA. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, thank you. That's a garbage load. You guys still use that?
Hey,
It's huge.
It gets all the hose on the ground. Okay, that's what
It
matters.
does. It, it does.
Anyway, no, that's not my real answer is probably just, which they're kind of go hand in hand, but just the mutts and the egos. Like, if you don't want to live, eat, sleep, eat, and breathe this job, so be it. But get to the side, man. Stay over there and be quiet. If I would prefer everybody is all about it, but I can't stand a mutt. But the only thing worse than that is a loud mutt. That while you're getting better, while people are getting better, they're over there running their mouth. Well, what if we get a call? What if this? What if this? I was like, I'm gonna be in better shape, tired after this gear workout than you are when you don't do them. But yeah, that's my answer.
Dude, it's good. And like I said, I agree. Like, physical fitness is huge. I don't know. Well, I'm guessing, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing the culture in your guys' region is probably not very active when it comes down to like the skillies and stuff like that, or am I completely wrong?
No, you're not wrong. It's kind of cut down the middle. Like, it's pretty far right and left. Like, guys are either like hard chargers, go getters, they're working out, they're in shape, they're whatever, or they're slugs. There's not a whole lot of middle of the road.
From place to place, obviously, from
Yeah.
department to department. Okay.
They're you still got the old school guys that are saying, oh, well, you don't need to be out here sweating and stuff because when a call comes, you need to be able to respond. It's like, brother, I don't know who told you that being lazy makes you better at being fit, but like that's just not how it works. They won't let you work out on shift, lift weights. They won't let you train in gear. Man, you don't want to get me going on that one, but yeah, you're right. It's split down the middle. That's something we're wanting to work on because, I mean, that's rule number one. You can't replace fitness. You can't replace strength.
That was probably my biggest culture shock, and that's why I was really curious if I kind of had a general idea if I was way off. But back east, like, it was a running joke. I was in the best shape of my life the day I graduated from the fire academy. It was a shameful joke, but it was just a joke. We had yearly physicals, but nothing had to do with how physically strong or capable or flexible you are. When I came out here to Arizona, that was my biggest culture shock because their culture here is the exact opposite. And I'll tell you right now, across the entire state at about 8:30 in the morning, every single firehouse is doing a skills course in gear. But it's just part of the culture here. Man, I was shocked when I came out. I'm like, what's wrong with these guys? But it's a very good culture. Granted, there's a lot of things that we have out here culturally that I wish was like back east. But that was my biggest shock, and I was wondering how you guys settled in. But I could speak for pretty much the state of Maryland, and it's not a priority. I mean, you could just look in the news lately. We have a couple brothers out of Baltimore City, two of them within a couple days, medicals, on duty. And it's freaking sad, bro. It's sad when the guys aren't held to some sort of physical standard, not just for us, but for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They expect, like you said, Army Rangers, SEAL, dive bombing with scuba gear, everything under the sun. That's what they expect from us.
You're exactly right. And I mean, that's a huge blessing for you to be out there where they do that. That's a dream. But, like Jocko says, there's freedom and discipline. It's a lot easier to make those small incremental changes every day and get into shape. And, nobody likes to do it at first, but, it's like running. It's like, how do you get better at running? You run.
Yeah, and there's no secret sauce to it. All right, boys. Well, listen, while we're wrapping up here, please, whoever wants to do it, plug your website, plug your Instagram, everything else. Everything will be in the show notes. But if anybody's listening, they make it all the way to the end here, please tell them how they can reach out to you guys, emails, Instagram, whatever you guys prefer for communication, especially for your upcoming conference in October.
Yeah, reach out on our socials. Travis runs the Instagram. I do the Facebook. It's Old South Fools, OldSouthFools. I think it's all caps on both. That's a good way to reach out to us. You can find me on Facebook, Jacob K. McVey. Travis is on there too. Day or night, anytime. We'll get back to you just as soon as we can. But please, if you want to be a part of it, come be a part of it. We'll make a way for you and accommodate you as best we can. We'll feed you while you're here. Travis, you got anything?
No, man, that covers it. Same thing. Travis Bradshaw on Facebook and Instagram. I'm pretty available. All my stuff public. I monitor our Old South Instagram hourly, or when life permits. But so if you reach out there, if you got any questions about the event or anything we're doing, if you want to be a part of what we're doing, we'll make it happen. We want people that want to be a part of this. That's why when you reached out to us after seeing us on the Kane Report, I was like, look, Jacob, like, I don't know this guy. I don't know nothing about him. Uh, Mike had great things to say about you. And I was like, but that's been our thing as far as the whole plan of this conference is we want people who want to be a part of what we're doing and believe in what we're doing. So if anyone wants to be a part of what we're doing, we're just facilitators. Anyone that wants to be a part of that, reach out and we'll make it happen.
That's great. We're picking up quite the convoy already, man. But this journey's it's been very fun. We've been very blessed. Made a lot of new friends along the way, and many more to come.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing right there, boys. Like just making buddies down the road, and spreading the love and passion for the job and freaking firemanship. Like I said, you guys are freaking kicking ass right now. I'm so excited to be part of it. I hope you guys absolutely freaking explode. Like I said, it's the best thing in the world is to watch good dudes do good things. And that's exactly what two good dudes are doing, freaking good things right now. So thank you on behalf of our region for what you guys are doing. And please, if you guys need anything, reach out. If you're ever out in our area, you're going to be guest instructors one day. So we'll make something happen for sure.
Anytime, man.
But yeah.
Also, I do real quick, I want to shout out Evan Gibbons and Jerry Worley. That's two of our other like real playmakers. I just want to make sure I shout them out because they're not the podcast and hop on here type really. But I did want to shout them out because they're doing just as much or more than me and Jacob. So I want to give them credit.
Yeah.
No, good. Thank you, Travis.
Us so far, man, for sure.
All right, boys. Well, listen, thank you again for your time, especially I know you all are busy, so thanks for sitting down and being on our show. We really appreciate, and I love spreading the word of the fools, and I mean, that's why we're here. That's why you guys are there, so keep spreading the love, brothers, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you guys in another 2 weeks.
Thank you.
No, thank you, boys. Have a great one. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in another 2 weeks. Remember to like, share, review if you can. Helps drive traffic to our podcast. Remember, let's leave our ego out of the fire service. It's amazing what we can accomplish when no one's looking for credit. Much love. Let's stop beating our own and become better firemen. Catch you next time.